everyone! I've been staying in Taipei in Taiwan now for a little while, and I've been getting lots of questions with travel tips and things to know before you come and visit. And so I wanted to make today's video to outline to you guys the things that I wish I knew before coming and that might help you out if you're planning a trip to Taipei. So let's go! So number one is accommodation. So it's a really big city when you're looking to book accommodation here. My first recommendation to you would be to stay really close to an MRT train station. The train lines here are incredible, super efficient and stretch all over the city. So being near a train line is really handy, and generally you'll only have to take sort of 1 or 2 trains to get anywhere else you need to go because it's sort of a grid system. And because the city is so big, it's really hard to stay near all of the main stuff because you're probably going to be traveling around the city depending on what you want to do on the day. So staying in the west near Xiamen is really cool, or staying over on the eastern side near Taipei 101 is quite cool as well. But there's pockets of stuff everywhere. So honestly, anywhere in the city you're staying is a good place to stay in my opinion. Speaking of public transport, another tip is just how great the transport is here. I've touched on the trains, but there's also a really good bus system here that's pretty easy to navigate. Google Maps is really good to recommend where bus stops are and times. In my experience, they're broadly on time. Obviously, it depends on traffic, a little bit hit and miss, but the bus system's okay to navigate. There's also Uber. I haven't needed to take an Uber at all, other than to and from the airport, because everywhere else I've needed to go, there's been public transport. So a big tip would also be to get an Easy card. Get an Easy card or an iCash card from the MRT stations or from 7-Eleven. You get those, load it up, and you can use it on public transport and feel like an absolute local. You can also spend it at things like 7-Eleven, Mr. Donut, Macca's. So it's really handy to have like a preloaded card, but I absolutely always use it on public transport because then you can sort of tap and go and feel like you know what you're doing. And you can buy really cute ones at 7-Eleven too, other than the standard ones you can get at the MRT. So if you want a cute one, go with 7-Eleven. I'm probably going to touch on food a couple of times, but one of the big tips for me would be to stay near a night market if you can. I coincidentally ended up booking a place right near a night market, and I didn't realize how handy it would be. So many nights, I'm like, I'm just going to get market dinner. It makes it super accessible. The food culture here is amazing, and the night market food culture, I've never seen anything like it in another country. So experience the night markets, and for convenience, if there's one near your place, tick, tick, tick. So something to consider would be to get cash out. Something that I've discovered is that it is the kind of country that you do need cash a lot of the time. There's places that accept credit card and Apple Pay, places like 7-Eleven and Macca's, but some places don't accept foreign credit cards. Like I've had some issues at Family Marts, for example. Plus, things like markets, things like local stores, it's really handy to have cash. So I would recommend getting cash out or bringing cash depending on your situation in your bank. But you do need cash. Things are pretty cheap though. Like I've only needed like between 5,000 and 6,000 Taiwan dollars for like 3 weeks. So it is pretty cheap, but I would recommend getting cash out. Don't rely too heavily on getting to pay pass and F+ stuff. I'm always saying this, but Taiwan is an absolutely breathtaking and incredible country outside of the cities. So while I've been based in Taipei for almost all of my stay, the day trips from here are incredible. So a big recommendation is, while the city is awesome, and I could talk about how much I love Taipei all day, there's so much out of the city as well. So have a read around, do some research, have a look at the top day trips, and get out of the city, get a bus, get a train, go and see the countryside. There's mountains, there's waterfalls, there's so much to see. Taiwan is incredible, diverse, fascinating, and breathtaking. Go and explore it, get out of the city, do some day trips. Something I would recommend to every foreigner in coming here is to get a SIM card or an eSIM. Having data here is really, really handy. While there is some Wi-Fi hotspots around the city, often they're in Taiwanese and you can't actually log into them without knowing how to speak the language, which is fine. But if you don't speak Taiwanese, it's really helpful to have data. As I've touched on, Google Maps is really good, so having access to that. Google Translate, I know you can download an offline version, but having it is helpful and being able to Google stuff as you go. So I would recommend getting data and not trying to rely too heavily on the public hotspots. Something I would recommend would be to at least try to learn a little bit of Taiwanese. It is a really hard language in my opinion to learn, and even some locals I've spoken to acknowledge that it is a hard language to learn. There are some of the friendliest people I've ever met in Taiwan. They're so nice, they're so accommodating, and they're really friendly. So even if they can't speak much English, in my experience, they really want to work with you to help you to get what you want if you're in a shop or something like that. So that's amazing. But it's also really appreciated if you try a little bit. So I would recommend try to learn some words, learn hello, learn thank you, learn any things that you can, and it will be really appreciated here, and it does make things a little bit easier. So there is quite a bit of English around in shops, or a lot of places have English menus, but it's not everywhere and it's not all the time. So sometimes you will have to get Google Translate out and have a look at a menu and work it out. So I do feel pretty foreign here some of the time, but it's part of the experience and it's fine. But yeah, be prepared to not have English everywhere all the time. So another tip would be just to embrace and enjoy how friendly all of the people are here. It's amazing to be in a place where people are so welcoming and so accommodating and so kind, even if you don't speak any of the language. So when you go to a restaurant, for example, I've had quite a few examples of Taiwanese, just other patrons and customers coming up to me who also speak English and helping me to translate the menu. Or I was stopped outside a restaurant the other day, couldn't understand the menu, and somebody walking by stopped and helped me. So people are really lovely and really accommodating and really helpful. So go up to people, smile, ask for help, ask if they speak English, embrace it, because people here are so welcoming, which is so amazing, and I really appreciate that about Taiwan. This is a pretty self-explanatory one, but a tip for you in Taiwan is to embrace the bubble tea life. Get a bubble tea holder, drink as many as you can, I guess within reason. Try different ones, go to different places. It's really cool to live up the culture here in the place that is the home of bubble tea. So I personally have had a lot of bubble tea since I've been here, but a tip would be lean into it. Have some bubble tea, go to a place without an English menu and just pick something. Like, I don't know, it's part of the fun, but get into the bubble tea. So I've touched on this in some of my other videos, but Taipei at least is pretty often overcast and rains a lot of the time, or at least most days since I've been here. But note, I am here in like April, May. Honestly, my advice to you here is get an umbrella from a family mart. They're not going to be too expensive, and just go with it. Like, just go out in the rain, go and explore things. Don't let it faze you. So yeah, a tip, don't get fazed by the rain. Don't get fazed by the grey skies. It's a beautiful, colourful, vibrant, incredible city to explore. Don't let the weather faze you at all. Like, just roll with it. Something that I love about Taiwan is the amount of convenience stores. So embrace the convenience store life. Go to convenience stores that have tables and chairs. Get food there, get them to microwave it for you. Use the hot water, make yourself some noodles. Embrace convenience store meals as genuine meals. So have 7-Eleven dinner, have Family Mart lunch, grab breakfast from there. Like, roll with it. I reckon lean into it. There is so much cool stuff at convenience stores that you'll discover. They have full meals at these places, and it's often stuff you've never seen or never heard of before. So explore your local area. You're probably going to find like 100 convenience stores within a couple of blocks from you. Something that took me a little while to work out is the opening hours of stuff here. It's kind of weird. So a tip to you is always check the opening hours of a restaurant before you're going to go. So a lot of the time places are open for like a lunch shift. So I don't know, 11 till 2 or something. And then sometimes a dinner shift, which might be like 4 or 5 till 7 or 8. I've been kind of surprised in some of the more bustling parts of the city. Restaurants are often closed at like 7 or 8 o'clock. So if you're the kind of person that often eats a late dinner, just proceed with caution. I mean, you're always going to have night markets to go to, which is a great option. But I've been caught out quite a few times where I'm ready to go to dinner at 7:30 and all the places I want to go to are closed. So you've got that like mid-afternoon period where stuff's often closed at like 3 or 4 o'clock. There's like a dead time for restaurants. And then, yeah, they close a little bit earlier than I expected to, especially because the city is bright and busy and bustling all hours of the night, but restaurants are not. So check the hours of places before you leave the house. A big tip would be not to just stay in the same area of Taipei that you're living in. So this city is so incredible. There's so much to it. And while it is tempting to stay in your own area and go to the same places, there's so many districts in Taipei, like even a 5-minute travel on the train and you're in a whole different area. So I've been staying here now for almost 7 weeks, and I'll still stumble across entire districts full of like 20 malls all next to each other that I didn't know existed, and all these awesome food places, all this crazy shopping. Like, I feel like you could spend months and months here and not see it all. So go get the train to some random train station or find some food place on Google Maps. Go there, explore the area. I promise you, you will always find new cool stuff you didn't know existed. And I love that about Taipei. Like, there's so much to see and so much to do. So get the train, live it up. There's so much to see. I love it. The food of Taiwan is awesome. Like, the food culture here is so strong. People love food. So a tip from me would be to go out of your comfort zone. Find a restaurant that looks kind of interesting, or something with good reviews, or something that's busy, and just go and see what's there. Order off the menu. If you're an adventurous eater, pick something without being able to read it. Or ask the wait staff for recommendations. Ask them what they would get, especially if they speak English. That's obviously much easier to do, but a lot of menus have like a little star next to something as like, you know, chef's recommendations. So just order that and go with it. I'm vegetarian, so there's heaps of veggie food here, which I've also made a video about. I love the veggie food here, and it's amazing going to a veggie restaurant because, you know, everything is free of meat, so you can just order willy-nilly whatever and see what turns up. Some of the flavors of foods that I've eaten here are so unlike anything I've tried in any other cuisine. Like, the food is so unique, so it's amazing to order something you might not have eaten normally. Put yourself out of your comfort zone, and I've always been genuinely pleasantly surprised. So eat the sticky tofu, drink the bubble tea, eat the weird thing off the menu, you have no idea what it is, and it might be the best thing you've eaten in your life. A tip as well that I had to Google a fair bit is it looks like you can't drink the tap water here in most places. There probably is exceptions with things like filters and stuff, but to play on the safe side, it's worth drinking the bottled water instead. Conveniently, there is convenience stores literally everywhere in the city, so you won't have any issues finding a 7-Eleven or a Family Mart, and a lot of them have 2 of the big 2-liter bottles for like 50 Taiwan dollars, so it's pretty cheap. So don't drink the water. I've been brushing my teeth with it, that's been fine, but not drinking large volumes of it. Touch wood, a year and a half traveling Asia and no tummy bugs, but yeah, go with the bottled water in Taiwan. Better to be safe than sorry, I would say. This is a really random tip, but if there's a pram, have a look in it. It's usually a dog, and I love the dogs in prams that I've seen here. I think it's more often a dog than a baby in my experience, but enjoy all of the dogs you see walking around Taipei, and all the dogs in prams. 10 out of 10. My last big tip comes with all of my heart, as I'm actually leaving Taipei really soon, and it's just to enjoy it. Like, soak in every minute of every day. If you're lucky enough to be in this beautiful city, in this amazing country, like, enjoy it. I honestly don't want to leave. Like, I love Taipei with all of my heart. So if you're here, my biggest and final tip is just enjoy it, soak it in, live every single moment up, and be so grateful that you're able to spend time in a country and a city that's so genuinely beautiful in every single way. So I hope that you've enjoyed my video today and hearing a little bit more about the tips that I would have and recommendations I have for you in your trip to Taipei. I hope you enjoy your time in Taipei. If you're visiting, live it up, have a bubble tea for me, enjoy it. Let me know if you have any further questions or anything that you want to know more about in terms of a foreigner's view of traveling Taipei. I'm always happy to talk about it. If you've liked my video, if you could like it below, that's awesome. If you could subscribe to my channel, that would mean the world to me too. If there's any other videos you recommend that I make, let me know. I love recommendations. Otherwise, I'll see you on my next video. Bye.